leading yourself through the fire is one of the most courageous, brave acts you can do. And it is not always easy, let me tell you. This week in particular, I had to, take a time out. I had to sleep more. I had to rest, give my body what it was asking for. And so that's one of the things I want to talk about today is, and I mentioned this on Instagram this week too, of like, how do you lead yourself? Are you falling into unhealthy habits, drinking, smoking, doom scrolling? And one of the things I did recently is, being, an entrepreneur, like I have to use social media for business and also holding it with a feather touch of like, you know what? My system is overloaded right now. We are going to take a pause from social media. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of A Transformed Life podcast. I am so delighted that you are here. I have so much I want to share with you, and I have notes so I don't forget everything that I would like to share with you today. First thing, I guess a little bit of like personal news. I had a really bad migraine this week, and I'm still involved in relentless court. And so it is very triggering. And just, that having CPTSD, it really affects my body. And so I have had to kind of triage how I work and rest and handle all the court stuff and, still function on a daily basis. And so that's one of the things I want to talk about is how do you lead yourself through the fire? And for me, as I have been going through, now I am entering year 7, I guess soon to enter year 8 of court. I cannot believe it. Continuous. That level of court is insane. Relentless post-abuse, post-separation abuse. And it is not to, to be taken lightly at all. And I think, one of the things is really recognizing what, our human system, my human system can handle. And, so many people and I have this perspective at different stages of my journey as well. Like triggers are your teacher. That can be really helpful when a pattern comes in and you react or I react instead of respond. However, when you are continually in war with no rest, no relief, I don't have attorneys on, my team. It's me. And that is a different type of quote unquote triggers altogether. The system cannot handle going to war day after day, especially with the depth of my story and, having my child trafficked from me 3.5+ years ago. That is a very traumatic experience for a human system to go through. And so if you have experienced anything of this magnitude, and I certainly hope you haven't, I hope your story is a little less intense than mine. I want to let you know that leading yourself through the fire is one of the most courageous, brave acts you can do. And it is not always easy, let me tell you. I mean, this week in particular, I had to, take a time out. I had to sleep more. I had to rest, give my body what it was asking for. And so that's one of the things I want to talk about today is, and I mentioned this on Instagram this week too, of like, how do you lead yourself? Are you falling into unhealthy habits, drinking, smoking, doom scrolling? And one of the things I did recently is, being, an entrepreneur, like I have to use social media for business and also holding it with a feather touch of like, you know what? my system is overloaded right now. We are going to take a pause from social media. And so for a couple days, I took a pause from social media. I didn't check it. It was, it was off limits. And I'm really thankful that I have the inner discipline and the devotion to leading myself through the fire when I know that my system is too stressed out, it is overloaded. What are some things I can do to respond instead of reactive? Like, yes, I'm in the war. How can I make this easier on my system? And so setting up guidelines throughout the day or a weekend of like, you know what, no social media for the next couple of days. And that is so freeing. I am very blessed. I don't have to block the apps. I don't have to do anything. I literally just tell myself, we're not going to check social media until Monday morning at, 9 a.m. And that's what I did. So I'm really thankful that I have that innate, just built-in capacity to, set a boundary and stay firm to it. So that's one of the things I did. Another thing of like leading yourself, and this is really helpful, whether you're a mother going through family court, whether you are a business owner, how we lead ourselves is how we will lead our family, how we will lead our team, our company, and, ultimately like the collective. And if we are weak, if we give our power away, if we let others steal our joy, we are not leading ourselves. We are not showing up for ourselves. And it really starts with those basic things. And this is why it really applies to business. And anytime a business wants to grow, we have to grow the founder, the CEO, the president first before we grow the company. And I think I maybe said this on a podcast or an Instagram reel of before you build the funnel, build the founder. Because if you build a funnel that brings in, millions of leads, do you have a back-end system to hold all of that? What is your workflow, your email, your sequence? Like, do you even have the personal capacity? If you are a solopreneur right now, if you're a one-person team, are you capable of a funnel bringing in that many potential leads? And so I think a lot of times founders and CEOs in business, we kind of put the cart before the horse, and we need to build the horse before we need to train the horse before we put the cart on. And so kind of working backwards of like, okay, funnel is the goal. Okay, if I received 100 leads today, how would I care for them? Because every lead is sacred. It's not just another lead. Now, of course, there could be bots, but let's go with the assumption that they are real people and they have real needs and concerns and they want help in their life for whatever product or service you're offering them. Are you in a personal position to lead them in whatever direction they need to go through your company? It's a really good question to kind of sit with. And this comes back to leading yourself, building up the founder first. And all of this to say is it starts with the daily non-negotiables, your healthy systems, your healthy habits. What is your schedule like in the morning? And we're going to go kind of through the day of some of the things I practice and I invite them to do for yourself as well. And just FYI, I am totally off of the topic I was going to talk about. It will be another podcast, I guess. But yeah, this is just coming through, channeling as Hope Rose. And I feel like this is okay. We will talk about leading yourself so you can lead your team, your business, your family. So some of the things I do to lead myself is setting very clear boundaries with time. And if you have followed me for any length of time, I'm very particular with what we speak, our language, the words we use. And so a lot of people spend their time versus investing their time. And it is important to really like, oh, I'm just going to spend my time here. Oh, I'm going to invest my time here. Because I think a lot of people look at like leading themselves and, healthy non-negotiables throughout their day as just kind of frivolous. And they are so important, especially for your nervous system. The reason why so many companies and CEOs burn out is because they are working 17-hour days. They're not resting. They're not honoring their mind, body, spirit, soul. They're not connecting with nature. They have back-to-back meetings. They don't stand up and move. They aren't properly hydrated. They don't nourish themselves. And that's why they become burnt out, because they are so focused on the company and the sales, like the stuff on the paper, that they forget that it comes from internal first. And that is a really important thing to implement, starting immediately. And some of the things I do as a human, as a woman, as a CEO, founder, entrepreneur, all the titles, is being really clear with my time throughout the day. And I will say this, like every human design, if you don't know your human design, I highly recommend that you go explore that and investigate that for how you work, how you live, how you can like structure your day to your human biology design. And there's so many like free quizzes, tests out there. You just put in your date, time, place of birth, and it will tell you your human design. Then you can use ChatGPT to dive in further, along with gene keys, along with your astrology. And the more you know yourself, the more you can lead yourself. And ultimately, when you lead yourself well, you lead others well. So in the morning, some of the practices that I have that are non-negotiable is meditation. And I typically, as of right now, I use Insight Timer for meditation. I really like that app. It's free. I use the free version. They have a paid version too. There are thousands of meditations on there. So I do that. And I actually do that in bed. I like to be in bed when I do that to really kind of set and ground my day before I even put my feet on the floor. Set the intention of like when my feet hit the floor, who am I in service to? And let me lead from that place instead of thinking of all the million things I need to get done today and, court filings and etc. Who am I in service to? What is the bigger picture here? What wants to come through me? The other thing I do is a very dedicated gratefulness practice, and I do this every morning and every night. I use the 5-Minute Journal app, and as of this recording, I am on day 977 in a row, consecutive days. So I'm very close to 1,000 days and super excited about that. So that's another way how I lead myself, of really starting the day with gratitude, which is a form of abundance. And then some other practices, neurofeedback. I write a couple of pages in my journal. I move my body. It alternates every other morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. As of right now, I lift heavy for an hour. And then Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, I do Pilates for 45 minutes. And, just being, an athlete, like those are my staples of movement activity in the morning. I also repattern my breath, nervous system work. It's a 5-minute practice. You can go back on my YouTube channel or the podcast, and on the YouTube channel, you can actually see the movements I do. It's a 5-minute practice. And so that really helps my nervous system relax, expand, and bring in what I want in my life. I don't drink coffee. I have what I call like an adrenal cocktail. And so it's filtered, structured water, warm, and organic lemon juice, some cream of tartar, which has potassium, some real salt, some herbal tinctures, a few drops of iodine, helps with the thyroid, and Intelligence of Nature gut support, and then a little pinch of borax. Yes, if you're curious about the borax, you can message me. You can leave a comment on this. And what else do I put in there? Oh, some raw honey. And so that is what I drink in the morning. And then quality protein, eggs, some meat. And these are all like, basic things, quote unquote, that just I do consistently no matter what. And I think that's where a lot of people become stuck, sick and sad, the triple S syndrome, is because they think they're just, it's just basic things. They just, put their feet on the floor, grab the cup of coffee, and kind of go about their day without really being intentional. Oh, the other thing, I also do a lot of Ayurvedic practices, which is scraping the tongue and oil pulling. I do that before, I drink anything or eat anything as well. And then I always have my jigsaw puzzle out. So sometimes I do a few pieces on that if I really need to just kind of, settle in, if my body's feeling a little bit more anxious or fearful or sad. The jigsaw puzzle really helps the mind. And I like to do something different, so I use non-dominant hand and upside down. So I, of course, up the game on that. So that's kind of like my morning routine. And then throughout the day, I, work with my schedule. I work with my human design of what I need for optimal output. It's not about working more hours. It's about being very dedicated to those hours that I am working. So it's, constant movement throughout the day. It's obviously getting out in nature if I need to go for a run or a hike, just for my athletic side of business, my personal athletic stuff. It is, taking time to go do a jigsaw puzzle. It could even be, coloring with colored pencils in a coloring book. It could be just standing up and, shaking my body. And these are all things of how I lead myself. And I'm really curious, how do you lead yourself through the really difficult times? And the one thing I lead myself in is almost daily naps. My system loves rest and naps. And so I absolutely put that into my schedule, and I work everything around that. And those are really helpful for me to kind of reset, rejuvenate, and really restore and come back fresher, cleaner. I have ideas like, that pop into my head. And even doing work while I'm out in nature, like I'll leave myself voice notes. I will chat with ChatGPT of like, oh, this business idea, this marketing idea, this content idea, this podcast episode, I'm thinking about this. And it helps me have a framework of, okay, this is what we are doing. And again, these are all examples of how are you leading yourself through the fire. Maybe you're not in a fire now. And I encourage you, if you're not in the fire now, to build in these systems, these habits now. So when the tough times come and the fire and the flame wants to destroy you, you have these built in to your framework no matter what. And that is what has really helped me these last, 7+ years, and especially the last 3.5 years, is that my previous life was just the same as it was now in terms of living a dedicated life of how I led myself, especially with the health, wellness, mindset principles. And I truly believe why I've been able to come through some really horrific experiences is because I had these built-in systems that were just as common as breathing air. And so if you don't have these in place, I highly encourage you to start. And I'm going to do a little segue here. If you don't know how to build these systems into your life, well, that is the current company, one of the companies I'm currently building. It's called Heal Thy. And it's human technology to guide you in building one healthy system every 30 days. It's curated in a deck of cards, subscription based, so every 30 days you get a new theme. That is amazing. These deck of cards have so much content on them, broken down into very simple steps, actions and questions and prompts. It takes you like less than 60 seconds a day to build in a healthy system into your life. And even if you have built some of these healthy systems into your life, the Heal Vibe method is such a fabulous product to gift to yourself, gift to a friend, especially with holidays, coming up. So I would love your support on that. And it really will elevate and expand and up-level your life, mind, body, and spirit in all of the ways. And every purchase supports a single mother, the Glow Up Sisterhood. So please, I'll drop the links in the show notes, and you can support this podcast that way and support my latest startup. My mission, part of my mission and vision is to offer healing, restoration, regeneration to people and planet. It's a global empire movement that everyone who wants healing, it's accessible and it is achievable. And the more we offer this to everyone, our crime rates will decrease, our families will improve, we will have less family court issues, relational issues, we will have better repair in our relationships. And so I'm really excited about the Heal Thy company, and I would love your support on that. So back to leading ourselves, leading a team, it starts with ourselves. And, leading how, even as parents, how do our kids see us lead ourselves when maybe we have financial difficulties or disappointments or when we're upset? And to be able to sit with those feelings of like, yeah, this is really difficult. I wonder how the money's going to come in. I wonder how we will get through this. And this doesn't mean that we bypass our feelings. This doesn't mean that we bypass our emotions. Tears are welcome. Tears are sacred and nourishing to our soul and to another human, especially when you are witnessed by another really sacred soul. To witness those tears, it is such a healing, powerful experience. And I have had the tremendous gift of being witnessed in so many of my tears and being held through that process, and is one of the greatest gifts I have ever received. And letting our children see that. And then that is a part of leading ourselves, of like, yeah, this is really tough. This is really difficult. It's compassion and curiosity. It's caring. And so, moving from those different stages when our children watch us of like, oh, mom, dad is going through this really difficult time. And you know what? They are still attentive. They haven't checked out. They're not doom scrolling. They're not just sitting on the couch watching mindless sports or TV or whatever it is. They're present with me. That is how your kids know how you are leading yourself. When it's like, you know what? We might not have money to go here today, and we're going to take a really amazing walk, hike in nature, investing time with our kids. That is how we lead ourselves. That is how we lead our family. That is how we lead our team. And so this whole principle of leading ourselves is something I'm really passionate about, because when it becomes embodied, and I think that's what has stood out to me through the years, especially the last couple of years, is I have been able to weather this storm, this fire, because I've embodied all of this for decades. That's why it's natural. That's the definition of embodiment. When we do something that is just first nature. It is first nature to take care of myself. Do I have a headache? Sleep. Do I need electrolytes? Proper ones, not the ones you see in stores that are popular. We don't want to have synthetic electrolytes. That's a podcast for another time. which I could get off on a tangent right there. It is such second nature, first nature, to take care of myself. I need a nap. I need to call a friend. I need support in this way. And really to embody that, because if you are, whether you are a founder that has one person in it and your dream is to have, many people on your team, well, there's going to be times when you are overwhelmed and you're going to have to ask for help. How does your system handle, oh, I need to ask for help? Are you scared? It's all the energetics. Are you scared? Are you fearful? Is it going to be rejected? How are you at handling asking for help? Not in an egotistical way, but in a soul sacred way. That is a really good indication of how your system feels when thinking about asking for help of something that might be a little bit more vulnerable, and making some adjustments, some alignments, realignments probably, to come into embodiment, into inner leadership, to, oh, I see that I have a tendency to do X when I need help. Or, fill in the blank. And so that is a really good way to gauge of how you are currently embodying self-leadership. And it all comes down to how you take care of yourself in mind, body, and spirit. The overworked CEO, the overworked, overstressed founder doesn't do anyone a bit of good. When you are, quote unquote leading from a place of lack and emptiness, whether that's just, emotional, spiritual, physical emptiness, that is going to ripple into your team. That is when, relationships break down. There's, office drama. Investors will feel that. Customers will feel that. And so really having that inner leadership, that inner integrity is super important. And I would love to know how you are currently leading yourself. We need to have maybe a leadership inventory checklist of oh, this is where I'm misaligned. How can I become realigned to this? I have kind of gotten off track here. I need to get back on track because I have this great, massive vision for my life. And I know that I need to make some adjustments and realignments in my life. So my invitation to you is to kind of just do a internal, external inventory of how you are leading yourself throughout the day right now, where you feel like you're just pushing yourself just to, get more done. Checking off the box does not always mean that it's going to be successful or productive. We want meaningful things to happen in our workflow throughout our day, not just checking off the box. And so it's not about just, a 9 to 5. It could be even less hours where you get more done in those hours, but they are concentrated, they are focused, they are intentional, because you are leading yourself from a place of fullness, of alignment, of aliveness, of love and life and clarity. Clarity comes through action. A lot of people have that backwards too. They think they want clarity, and clarity comes through doing, comes through being. And yeah, I really want to invite you to kind of take inventory of how you are leading yourself internally, externally, everything from your lack of healthy systems, healthy habits in your life, to how many healthy habits you do have in your life. What are you currently doing that is not serving you, serving your team, serving your family? How much time are you spending on your phone, on TV, on apps? Are you having time limits? Are you having, a window of I'm not going to be in my phone from, this time? Maybe it's every weekend. Maybe it's a weekend a month. And, as we move into, we have this technology age now for almost 2 decades, it's hard to believe, we have to develop new skills. And, people didn't have phones 60 some years ago. They didn't have, the world at their fingertips. They didn't have www dot to Google anything. They didn't have ChatGPT. And so while technology is fabulous for so many reasons, it can also derail us too. And so really being mindful that we are not a slave to technology, but we are the master of it. Like, we control that, it doesn't control us. And so what's controlling you right now? What is controlling your mind, body, and spirit? Is it the news? Is it negative thoughts? Is it misaligned beliefs that you aren't good enough, that you aren't worth it? This will all show up in your leadership, especially from yourself, because when you are exhibiting those, I'm not good enough, that's going to translate into your product. It's going to translate into your service. It's certainly going to translate into your home and your family and your relationships. And so really becoming crystal clear on just one or two things that you could change in your life today to realign, to lead yourself well, and ultimately lead your team and your family and your community in the best, highest service of all, to sound really spiritual. And I say that tongue in cheek. So I think that is our podcast for today. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear a 5-star review or an email or a comment. Be sure to purchase a subscription to Heal Thy. I will leave a link for it below. Share with all your friends. I'm not sure if we are going to do a Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all those specials or not, since we are a very lean new startup. And regardless, I would love your support. And I really appreciate you listening and being here for this conversation. We are going big places, and I want you along for this journey and for global transformation for the planet, our soil, our souls, and ultimately to connect back to source through, service. And it all really starts with so many different things, but, for today's topic, it was leading ourselves well. I will see you next week on Black Friday. As always, I'm here to support you in your journey, and I thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful day.